Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably expected at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom versions most likely, while at the same time that the Nintendo Switch remake should be on its way. So, last time, we've essentially did manage able to continue exploring the forms of not only being Valley, like, for instance, about the fact that we did somehow manage able to traverse through different pipes to able to look for certain secrets, alongside with the forms of some enemy encounters that we somehow managed to come across into. And on top of all that stuff, though, we also did manage able to actually realize about the fact that we, essentially speaking, it was about the fact that we basically done everything in terms of the melody segment. And on top of all that stuff, though, we did somehow manage able to go from vine to vine into, in the skies above. So because of that, though, which pretty much leads us to the forms of the next area. Like, for instance, for this video is about the fact that we'll be able to actually explore the next part of the town, which appears to be by the forms of, I would say Nimbus Town, as far as I'm aware. Mind you, it's been a couple of hours since I actually last played this game for sure. And, yeah, that's essentially how this goes, basically. So it looks like about the fact that Valentina just somehow managed able to get involved with this particular stuff right here. And it looks like about the fact, no matter what though, is about the fact that every single townspeople looks kind of like the forms of Mallow a little bit. Although except the fact that they all basically wearing different types of clothings and all that stuff. So either way though, yeah, I think this might actually be a home to, well, Mallow, basically. So either way, though, and it looks like something else is about to happen. Like, for instance, I think those two are gonna be, in love. I think is what it says anyway. So, but either way, though, I'm sure about the fact that we're able to investigate certain situations like this. So, anywho, though, few things I want to explain for this point today, relatively speaking. That's what appears to be about the fact that today's date is, of course, the 13th of August today, in some cases in 2023 today. There are quite a few things I would like to discuss upon, but even then though, about the fact no matter what though, for I've heard that Tiana's farms is now restored, so relatively speaking, she will definitely going to be coming back onto Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe at some point until tomorrow, and because of that though, she's now going to be focusing on the extra mode, because of that about the fact that after the events of the Wii version of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, that basically though she did somehow skip over extra mode, because as a result there's not much collectibles you can able to get, aside from the fact that you're still able to retain, you know, the exactly the same energy spheres as before, but in the forms of a Switch remake, that we do now able to actually realize that we can able to actually get additional masks. So that's the primary example of why that Tiana is now going to be working on the extra mode. So either way though, just want to get a little bit of a heads up. And also, when you go to this particular shop right here, not only does it allow you to able to buy certain items like the mushrooms and all that, but also we get ourselves the forms of some weapons and armor upgrades. So, for instance, we're able to actually purchase the Mega Glove for Mario, and in addition to that, with that particular fan for Peach, and hand cannon for the sake of the forms of Geno, and Sticky Glove for Mallow. So, unfortunately, no new weapon for Bowser just yet though. Maybe they'll try to able to include that for later, or perhaps even maybe something else for that matter. So either way though, even though it's kind of hard to say about this, because I know for a fact that, like I said before, it's been about a couple of hours ago since I actually have last played this, because obviously about the fact that I'm still usually busy playing through Sonic Frontiers on the Switch version as of lately, mainly because recently I finally managed able to fully 100% it through everything in Chronos Island, and as a result, it's actually pretty easy for all things considered with all that action chain challenges, even though it does take me a couple of attempts for able to actually just to success the actual S rank for that department. And as a result of that kind of stuff though, I think this is one point that the actual challenges gets a bit difficult during the later islands, like for instance with Chaos Island, alongside with the forms of Aronos' Island, and especially noticeable with Iris Islands as well. So, but either way though, hopefully our mods are able to get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to able to completing those kind of stuff. So either way though, yeah, let's just go ahead and sell certain weapons for now, including armor, except with accessories, because we still need them for certain strategies as far as this is concerned. And especially noticeable because obviously about that particular point where basically we can now able to actually buy fuzzy armor. So yeah, for instance about the fact that we've already purchased the fuzzy shirt alongside with the forms of fuzzy pants for both Mario and Mallow, and also we purchased the fuzzy dress for Peach, and on top of that the fuzzy suits for Gino. So that will be all pretty much all settled by then. So anywho though, so there's another explanation I should probably explain about this as well. And that's what appears to be about the fact that unfortunately though, one of the actual leader, or specifically the Kitara, did somehow recently died. And that's what appears to be by the forms of Robbie Robertson. It's kind of unfortunate that he died in roughly 80 years old. So even then though, it seems kind of sad. Especially noticeable because, well, I haven't exactly listened to music for quite a few days. Because obviously about the fact that at this point in time, I'm still busy playing through games obviously. So but either way, so not much else is going on for the sake of the forms of other stuff worth noting for, apart from the fact that, well, I get the strong sense of feeling that maybe at some point in next week or so, that we might potentially get ourselves the forms of ND World presentation or something like that, although it's kind of difficult to tell, but that's just because about the fact that after the events of, you know, the actual June Nintendo Direct, that usually we got the general one back in the 21st of June, which turns out to be a huge success in my opinion, which as a result, because you know, we finally managed able to get something related to a new Mario games and stuff like that. So yeah, you probably get the idea about this particular solution. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and head back into the forms of Nullville quickly, because I think if I recall correctly, since that we actually got enough coins, so as a result we can able to actually start able to do some trading. So for instance, we can able to talk to this particular NPC, and because of that we can only buy that for 200 coins. So either way though, that should be all pretty much settled for the sake of time. I'm not exactly sure how to explain about this, because then again though is about the fact that, well, I promise you guys, until at some point, until in the next weekend, then hopefully my commentary might be slightly a little bit better, but it's just about the fact that once again I'm feeling a little bit slightly tired. Well, that's just because I couldn't able to actually get enough sleep. That's just because about the fact that at this point in time, I think I keep on hearing the forms of Wario just keep on going to the toilet that often, which as a result, because he just loves to able to actually fart, or in some cases though, pooped in the actual toilet itself, which I know for a fact that because he ate too much garlic, or probably something else for that matter, but either way though, that might have been something else entirely. So as you can see, we actually went back into Rosetown right here, because I somehow delivered the seed to this particular guy right there. But we're still not done with this yet, because now we need to able to get the final item for this particular process, and as a result we can pretty much guarantee to able to actually give us something that's very recommendable, especially noticeable that it might actually contain, without a doubt, the strongest weapon in the entire game for, specifically for Mario. So because of this though, yeah, let me just go ahead and head back into the forms of, you know, this particular location right there, which appears to be Nimbus Town. So, but either way though, I will say that the music in this particular location sounds very peaceful in that regard. I totally get it because of how the fact that it takes place in the skies. So either way though, that must have been said something. So, and I think something tells me for this particular section right there will become important for later, because obviously about the fact that we need to solve this particular mystery up first, for the sake of the forms of this particular town. So, And I think something tells me about the fact that I don't think we can able to actually hear that particular something serious music is going on, unlike any forms of in Mushroom Kingdom, alongside with Rose Town and Seaside Town, so everything else seems perfectly fine for the most part, even though except the fact that, well, obviously about the fact that, well, let's just go in here to able to investigate on things. So either way, oh gee, it looks like about the fact that not only we able to actually stumble across into ourselves 3 Valentina statues, but also we got ourselves a Mallow statue over there too. So I suppose we're most able to actually go ahead and take a look around for a little bit. I don't think there's going to be any hidden treasures in this room or anything else like that. Although speaking of the forms of hidden treasure chests though, I still need to able to actually try to find a solution to, you know, figure out something for this matter. So, anywho though, oh yeah, something's worth noting for, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, for I've heard that there might be a speculation at this point in time, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, apparently though, the new single-player mode called Invasions is seemingly to be coming on Mortal Kombat 1, but as a result, it's kind of hard to tell at this point, especially noticeable concerning about that particular point where I believe we've only got 1 month left, potentially speaking, until that game is about to come out. So, usually on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S, and of course, the Nintendo Switch versions. So, and you know, it's not possible to able to actually bring that game onto PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, because obviously they just moved on to the next generation of consoles for the sake of the forms of how impressive the visuals are. So, but either way though, that must have been understandably so for, you know, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and anything else like that. So, anywho though, there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, I guess anyway. And that's what appears to be about the fact that there's going to be a new DLC for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. And that's what appears to be by the forms of, if I can recall that correctly, which appears to be the 23rd World Tournament DLC, which as a result, I think that's going to be releasing during at some point until specifically next Thursday, if I recall correctly, on the 17th of August. So that might actually give us some bit of attention to. So, but either way though, it may look a bit interesting to say the least. So, but either way though, that must have been said something, especially concerning about that particular point where basically it's been about, you know, roughly 3 years ago since the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was first came out, during the forms of before the actual pandemic was a thing, usually in 2020's case. And because of that though, because it was originally going to be on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but every now and then they start able to actually get a lot of versions, like for instance with the Nintendo Switch version during in 2021, and on top of that with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X for this year or something like that. Mind you, I haven't exactly paid attention to the forms of the actual release dates for quite a few days now, so because of that though, relatively speaking though, because of how the fact that, well, I'm more concerned about that particular point of what's going to be up next for certain releases during that time, especially noticeable because concerning about that particular point that we've already mentioned about quite a few updates for certain film releases or anything else to be more specific. But as you can see, we actually come across into ourselves this particular solution that basically we somehow turn into Golden Mario statue, which as a result, that was before when New Super Mario Bros. 2 was a thing. Like for instance, if you obtain the actual Gold Flower power-up, basically though you were able to become Gold Mario. But this particular segment is installed temporarily, and also it's very important for plot significance. That's just because we do need to able to sneak into the actual castle itself, because if we somehow manage able to get caught by the forms of this particular bird-like creature, basically something tells me we're about to get kicked out. Or in some cases though, I think this is another one of those cases where I think it does manage to contain yet another optional boss fight, where you don't have to necessarily try to deal with him right away, because eventually later on in the game, you can still able to actually deal with him. So, but either way though, somehow we managed able to entering the castle itself. But before we able to continue, let me go ahead and save my game quickly, just in case of some situations is about to happen. So either way though, let's just go ahead and enter this little door right here, and oh jeez, we definitely need able to hide somehow, because obviously if they find out if we did somehow move, basically though, we're most able to be in trouble, so yeah, we need to head all the way back into the previous room. And this is where we come across into ourselves a yet another minigame challenge, where basically though, all you have to do is basically you don't able to get caught during this particular point, because once you fully succeed this point, basically you get yourselves a nice reward if you do manage able to complete this particular part. But if you do fail, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure it'll lead you straight into the optional boss fight, so, which I think I'll probably mention more about it during at some point until next week or so. So, but either way though, oh jeez, it looks like he's almost got confused there. Sometimes it's almost like a rhythm kind of game, so either way though, let's just go ahead and jump. And sometimes it requires some bit of concentration, especially noticeable that, well, sometimes every once in a while he just likes to able to go ahead and, you know, go, you know, insane for the most part, so. Oh, jeez, that was close. I believe that final part might potentially throw you off a bit, but there we go. We did somehow succeed, and now let's go ahead and continue. And from here, we're able to actually get ourselves a nice item, which is a feather. Which I think if you do manage to equip a feather, that actually increases your speed. So, for what I've heard anyway. So, and I think that trooper pin might do the same thing. But as a result for that particular matter though, is about the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, it's just there for the sake of if you really want to go after one of the most important, accessories if you want to equip. So, but either way though, that must have been said something, so. Anywho though, in terms of something else I could possibly explain about this for the sake of this matter, recently, about the fact that I think that usually happens during the forms of on Thursday, which I suppose I forgot to mention about. That's what appears to be about the fact that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem did somehow manage able to, so far, managed able to got themselves $70 million in its box office in worldwide. So yeah, that's actually pretty impressive, all things considered. Especially noticeable, what's even insane about this is that, you know, for Super Mario Bros. Movie, Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, alongside with the forms of other films I could possibly name off the top of my head, are still going for the sake of the forms of that particular box office, department. Well, there's only one film exception to this, and that's what appears to be about the fact that Fast and Furious 10, or specifically Fast X, basically though, Fast and Furious 10 did somehow stop at, you know, $719 million. So, pretty good so far for in terms of that specific run. But either way though, that must have been said something, I suppose. So either way, oh geez, it looks like those specific guards did somehow manage to able to, or Birdie for that matter, did somehow manage to able to keep on poking me, and we're no longer golden. So either way though, and since about the fact that those Birdie guards did somehow manage to able to go to another room, so this means about the fact that we can able to actually go ahead and exit out the castle, or re-entering the castle at any point now. So because of that though, we don't need to worry about the forms of some bit of stealthing to do. So, but either way though, now we can able to actually go ahead and explore the majority of the castle itself. And relatively speaking, it's going to be filled to the brim with a lot of enemy encounters, which I'm pretty sure I've got the actual description for it. So for instance, about the fact that the first set of enemies we do able to encounter, which there are Pinwheel and Merkle. Let's start things off with Pinwheel. Pinwheel does have 99 HP, and they don't drop coins for some reason. And if you do manage to kill them, you get about 23 experience points. So that might be pretty swell, I might add. And as far as the forms of Merkle, Merkle does have 320 HP, which is ridiculously a lot. And if you do manage to kill one of them, you get about 3 coins, and you get 6 experience points if you do manage to able to finish them off. But here's the catch to this though, is about the fact that sometimes whenever they manage to pull off a special move like Crystal for instance, jeez, the amount of damage I put is way too high. So because of this though, hopefully we'll try to able to figure something out once we're able to actually just to, you know, dish out as many of those guys as much as we can. Especially noticeable with how much timing you have to put up with. Oh jeez Louise. Well, it looks like Bowser's the only one who can able to survive for this. Oh good, at least we got a miss right there, because if we somehow dare manage to get hit, obviously we might be able to get ourselves our first game over, which, at this point in time, this is where the game starts to get insanely difficult, especially noticeable with the amount of enemy encounters that we might have to put up with, so... But either way though, thankfully with Bowser's chain thingy right there, then we should able to finish him off like so, so there we go. And exponentially speaking though, no level up yet, but I need to able to use that item fast, so just in case I don't able to let Mario or Mallow dies again, during the forms of one of those enemy encounters or anything else to be more specific, so... But I digress. There's not much else I can talk about, I'm afraid guys, apart from the fact that, well, relatively speaking now, is about the fact that I believe we've only got about 17 days to go until the final DLC, for the sake of the forms of Mario Plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, will be almost approaching by that point. So, especially noticeable because I'm still very excited for it, especially noticeable because, you know, it's been a very long time since we played as Rayman since Rayman Legends in journey forms of the console industries. Well, at least I can also include the forms of the Switch port of Rayman Legends, which appears to be the definitive edition, but as a result for that particular matter though, is about the fact that, you know, it's been 10 years ago since, you know, Rayman Legends first came out in multiple platforms, which is of course the Xbox 360, alongside with the PlayStation 3, and the Wii U version most likely, specifically the first 3 versions, until before they somehow get multiple versions of Rayman Legends, which is of course the PlayStation Vita version, and the Xbox One version, PlayStation 4, and of course the Nintendo Switch. And I could have also able to include, I would say, the PC version as well. Mind you, I'm not exactly a massive PC gamer, but either way though, speaking of which though, we actually come across into yet another enemy encounters, which there are, let's just say, one of them which appears to be by the forms of a green colored variation of that particular Shy Guy enemy, which appears to be known as Sling Shy. Sling Shy does have 120 HP, and if you kill them, basically you get about 3 experience points, and I believe you get about 20 coins, if I'm assuming so anyway, so... Anyways though, so let's just go ahead and try to make my way to this particular leaps of faith, without able to actually encountering the forms of... Or maybe I'll keep thinking about the forms of another set of rooms coming up, because I know for a fact that we can able to actually hop onto that particular already opened treasure chest block, but either way though, hopefully we would be able to actually try that specific block I was on about. So, anyway, so here's another set of enemies that we might as well encounter for, and that's what appears to be buddy forms of Sherman, and also same applies with that particular middle enemy over there, which appears to be known as Joyful. Let's talk about the forms of Sherman. Basically, Shermans are pretty much kind of similar to the forms of one of those NPC characters that we've already bumped into during the forms of the temple location, except the fact that for some reason they just try to able to fight against us. So, basically though, for Sherman does have 150 HP, and if you kill them, basically you get 4 coins, if I'm assuming so anyway, and you do get about 17 experience points if you manage to finish them off, assuming of course the actual numbers isn't exactly accurate on my end. So, and there's also another enemy known as Joyful. Basically Joyful does have 278 HP, and if you kill him, basically you don't get any coins at all, but at the very least you do get 27 experience points. But here's the catch to this though, with that particular enemy on the middle. Basically though, if you dare attack him at any point, well, when you start the battle, he's actually asleep, so he can't do anything until you decide to attack him, when the game tells us that he's now awake. So because of that though, and once he was able to accept his turn, he's now able to actually try to get a chance to attack you. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So, and also there's another enemy I somehow forgot to mention about, and that's what appears to be known as, well, let's just say it's like a blue stick thing, which appears to be known as, Orbison. Orbison does have 30 HP, and they don't drop any coins, but if you finish them off, basically you get about 18 experience points or something. So, I think that's as far as I can think about this. Although there's also another enemy coming up, which I'm sure we'll be able to actually bump into one of them exponentially. So, but either way though, yeah, not much else to say. Although, every once in a while, though, you do come across into the point where you might get ambushed very easily for certain enemy encounters, thanks to the forms of some golden statue structure. But at the very least, though, about the fact that we'll try to able to actually avoid some of them as much as we can. But sometimes, though, it can be kind of unavoidable at points when you go for that particular narrow rooms, or anything else to be more specific. So, either way, looks like Princess Toadstool has now reached to level 17, so that should be all pretty swell in my ad. So, yeah, I think that should be all said and done. When it comes to the forms of everyone else has now reached to level 17, now I'm pretty sure we've almost reached the point until when it gets to the point until we've eventually decided to go into level 18 for Mario, but that will be until for later time, especially noticeable because relatively speaking now I was expecting if I was trying to able to cut out most of those enemy encounters, but honestly guys, I just don't feel like it, especially noticeable because every time whenever I was trying to edit out something, basically though my laptop decides to lag again, and as a result that makes things a little bit more convoluted when it comes to likely trying to deal with this process. So, but anywho though, and something's worth noting for is about the fact that, of course, CapKing74 is now basically just to continue uploading during the forms of Pokemon Fire Red and, or potentially speaking, the majority of them is Fire Red, most likely. And as a result, that he just somehow managed able to go to that particular beginning portion. So, even though it's a bit tricky to explain, because I know for a fact that I haven't exactly watched any of his Let's Plays for some time, especially noticeable after doing with a massive break, like, you know, after playing through, you know, Pikmin 3 for deluxe content, and especially noticeable with, of course, Plants vs. Zombies and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. So either way though, and yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can talk about for the forms of today's discussion. Again, I would have liked able to explain something else for that matter, but honestly guys, I think it's probably best if I let Tiana were able to actually mention more details onto other stuff during at some point until tomorrow when she's about to able to get started with the extra mode playthrough in Kirby's Eternal Dreamland Deluxe, essentially. Especially noticeable because, well, wish her luck I guess, especially noticeable about that particular point where, oh sweet, we actually got ourselves a lucky reward. It's been a very long while since we actually stumbled across into a lucky flower, which I know for a fact that I'm pretty sure the last time we actually stumbled across into a lucky flower, as far as I'm aware, was back in Journey forms of somewhere before the sunken ship or something like that. So yeah, it's been quite a long time. So either way though, and exponentially I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be double the amount of coins or double the experience points. I suppose we'll find out once the battle is over. So in some cases though, in some cases double the coins. I suppose it really doesn't matter, because obviously about the fact that at least I got pretty lucky right there. So exponentially I can now able to actually buy tons of stuff here and there. And also there's also a secret passage right there, where if you go onto the specific point, there's another frog coin. So, I think exponentially speaking though, we actually got quite enough of those frog coins from now on, until we're able to actually buy one of the coolest accessories. So, exponentially speaking though, that will be something that's worth noting for, especially noticeable. Well, you don't have to necessarily try to able to get every single frog coins for that matter, although exponentially speaking though, you can get most of them anyway, especially noticeable because, well, again, it's hard to tell for this point, because I know for a fact it's been, you know, quite a few hours since I've played this, so... Alright, so let's finish this guy off. Well, almost anyway. I believe the Mega Glove is like a stronger version of Super Glove or just Punch Gloves or anything else like that. So, and in here though, this is where we come across into another set of NPCs where basically that you need to be able to talk to one of them. Not only does it give us the forms of a flower jar, which as a result we've almost gained very close to maximum of 99 flower points. So as a result, about the fact that particular point, I'm also able to start use that in a second. And also we're able to actually get ourselves a nice little item that we need to able to get until we're able to continue our progressioning for the entire castle itself. In addition to that though, that's all I can really say about this. So anyways, let's go ahead and use our flower jar, which pretty much leads us to now 80 flower points. So I was expecting if I was trying to able to get more flower points, but hopefully by that time, once we get towards the end game, obviously I do need able to reach for about maximum of 99 flower points. So because if I do that, and exponentially speaking though, there's actually more to it than that, because obviously about the fact that it is somewhere in journey forms of, aside from the forms of that particular JoJo class that will eventually come back into, once we do manage to able to, you know, keep on leveling up and all that stuff, and also at the same time try to able to keep on increasing our flower points essentially, and of course try to able to keep not only Bowser but also Princess Toadstool into our team, just to make the entire process a bit more faster, or in some cases a bit easier because of the forms of group hug, and especially noticeable just anything else in general. So but either way though, I suppose we can now able to actually move on to I don't know actually, because I know for a fact that, well, honestly guys, again, I was expecting to try to able to mention something else, but I've already managed to able to explain the enemy descriptions or anything else like that. Oh, I should also mention about this as well, is that apparently though, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, oh wow, I actually got myself yet another lucky flower right there. I suppose that might be a good thing, especially noticeable we might come across into experience points or something else for that matter. So anywho though, something's worth noting for, and that's what appears to be about the fact that there's actually going to be a new game that's going to be on its way, until specifically in 2024, most likely. That's what appears to be a new South Park game, known as South Park Snow Day, which as a result, yeah, I honestly did not expect to see that coming, especially noticeable about the particular point where it's been a very long time since we actually last got ourselves the South Park video game, since, I don't know what the actual game I was thinking about, because I know for a fact I don't normally watch South Park throughout the forms of some other months ago or something like that. Oh, and another thing I just wanted to mention about something, and that's what appears to be about the fact that once, I hate to be honest for this point, is that once we're able to actually finish up the rest of the forms of Make Your Mark series from My Little Pony Generation 5, I will have to admit it though right away, this is where my high expectations of G5 is pretty much fading away, especially noticeable because relatively speaking I still classify considering that G4 is without doubt my favorite generation, to me anyway, just because of how popular it is. And on top of that, no wonder why that lasted way longer than the forms of how it does it for any other generations, to me anyway. But that's just because about the fact that it just somehow lasted for about, technically 10 years for Friendship is Magic era. But that's just because about the fact that thanks to the forms of this clip shows, only existed during the forms of Australian countries for some reason, because I know for a fact that we still have no idea that it's going to be releasing on America, or in some cases the UK, but either way though, it's a weird time of release for the sake of the forms of that specific time. So, but either way though, but I'm glad able to actually see the forms of those gorgeous characters and all that stuff, especially noticeable because, well, usually because of me and Bubbles always managed able to sit down and watch the actual show together, because obviously Bubbles loves ponies so much, which is very understandable because she loves cutie things. So, anywho though, I could have possibly able to explain something else for that matter though, and yeah, it's probably best if we let Tiana were able to mention more about other stuff during the forms of, you know, in Kirby's Return to Dreamlands Deluxe, or even in some cases that eventually until on Tuesday I'll be back on to Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Advance, so just to ensure about the fact that I can probably tackle through to me though, one of the trickier worlds in the game, but that's just because of this ridiculous amount of those bonus areas I do need to find, specifically in one of those levels coming up. And also, I've heard that the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country, along with the forms of Donkey Kong Country 2, and I think possibly the same thing that usually happens in 3, that basically certain level order has been shuffled, which as a result, I have no words able to think about it. Oh yeah, let's talk about the forms of the last enemy encounter before we end off the video, for some time for that matter. That's what appears to be known as the blue variations of Birdie, which this time it appears to be by the forms of Bluebird. Bluebird does have 200 HP, and they drop about 14 experience points if you kill them, and on top of that, it gives you 6 coins. So, yeah, that's basically all there is to really think about. So, anyway, so we've now reached to level 18 for Mallow, so that should be all pretty swell. And, yeah, everything else seems to be a little bit more accounted for when it comes to the forms of trying to able to experience most of the stuff anyway. So, oh, and before you're able to actually progress during the forms of some portions of the castle, basically we do need to able to take care of the forms of this particular, well, you know what I'm saying about the forms of this heavy trooper, as you can tell. Although, again, using the actual ultra jump or any jump abilities for that matter will get ourselves a lot of attack power, at least assuming, of course, if you time those things well enough. But I still cannot stress enough about the fact that trying to get those 2 special rewards with the forms of those consecutive jumps is actually a lot tough and difficult at the same time, because you need to be very accurate about it. Even though it does kind of reminds me of the forms of trying to learn infinite jump during the forms of not only let's just say during the forms of Paper Mario Sticker Star, and maybe potentially with the forms of multi-bounce for Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, as far as I'm aware. Although, mind you about the fact that I didn't pay attention to the forms of this accurate information, so, and it looks like we can't go any further because obviously the door has been locked. So in some cases though, we actually come across into this particular little weird egg right there. So either way though, and as far as I'm aware, before we end off the video, I need to go ahead and switch different characters a little bit. Like, for instance, we actually got Gino in our party, and on top of that, Mallow is still with us. And, yeah, let me go ahead and adjustments to the actual equipment right there. So, in some cases, though, yeah, that's what I can really talk about. I apologize for my commentary is a little bit slightly iffy at this point today, but that's just because I could possibly be able to explain some more stuff, but either way though, we're going to wait for a little while until when something else is about to happen. So, or exponentially speaking though, if I was trying to able to do a massive update for the actual box office records for 2023 so far, but then again though, Tiana should probably be able to discuss more about it until tomorrow's case. So, anyway, so I think this should be all set for Mario, and as far as everything else goes, yeah, I think that will be all pretty swell in my ad. So with that being said, I think we should probably end things up at this point right here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars, and that's what appears to be about the fact that we're about to able to discover this very strange egg, so I wonder what's inside. Well, I suppose we'll might as well find out and join at some point in next week, so I'll see you guys next week. Later, fellas.